Council meeting, December 18th. I'd like to gavel the meeting today. Good evening. I'd like to call the June 18th, 2024 meeting of North Bend City Council to order. Can the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Alan Guthill,
Present.
Councilmember Brendan Elwood, Councilmember Mark Jocelyn, Councilmember Heather Cullen, Councilmember Christina Restic,
Present.
Councilmember Susan Torgerson,
Here.
Councilmember Errol Termalata.
Here.
All are present with the exception of Councilmember Jocelyn and Cullen.
Heather is excused. She did call us and let us know. And if somebody could keep their eyes open, I know Mark was going to join us via Zoom. So, but we should. Yeah.
He was in CD on the phone.
Okay, so we have enough for a quorum, so we're fine. Okay. Well, right now, let's go ahead and start with the consent agenda. On the consent agenda for your approval tonight, we have the minutes.
Your Honor, did you want to do the flag salute?
Oh, that would be great. Yeah. Would you like to lead us in the flag salute?
Sure.
Sorry about that. So again, I will start. We will now move to consent agenda. On the consent agenda, we have 4 items. City Council minutes, June 4th, 2024. Payroll, June 5th, 2024. Check numbers 2882 through 28827 in the amount of 385,646.47. Checks dated June 18th. Check number 75706 through 75771 in the amount of $911,267.76. We also have a motion approving reimbursement to Skyview Metropolitan District for Ferguson backstop netting.
Move to approve consent.
Got a first and a second. Any discussion to the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? And it is unanimously passed. Next item on the agenda is citizen comments. Before we move on to citizen comments, as indicated on tonight's agenda, if you're attending remotely, we'd like you to submit public comments. Please submit written comments via in-person drop-off, mail, fax, or email to s.opedal@northbendwa.gov by 5 p.m. on the day of the meeting. We are no longer taking public comments for those attending remote via Zoom unless they have reached out to city clerk in advance of the meeting request to accommodate. We'll now move on to citizens' comments. At this time, if you'd like to comment on any items not on the agenda tonight, we'd like to invite you to come forward to the podium. If you have requested accommodation with city clerk and wish to speak during citizen comments, please raise your hand through the virtual format and we'll take your comments in person, comments after that in person. Please remember to state your name, address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Okay.
Hello.
I have somebody.
Deborah Landers, 14615 438th Avenue Southeast in North Bend. Just a quick report. We did have Art Off the Rails this last Saturday. It was amazing. Thank you for those of you that supported and came out. But really why I'm here today is 2 things. Just to say that, yes, it was bigger and better than last year. So year 2 shows growth. And yes, we do know how to hold a festival in every possible kind of weather, which was awesome. Out of 50 artists, we only had 5 cancel because of the weather. So I felt really strong that we've got a really strong artist community that wants to make this art festival work. Let's see. And besides that, I just wanted to do a special thank you to the city of North Bend. The support that you gave in the planning, in the preparation, The Parks Department and Public Works Department loaned me some equipment and made sure that the park was clean and tidy. The restrooms were clean, garbage was empty. Even on Friday, they were out blowing off the sidewalks in the area. So it really did look nice. And we at North Bend Art and Industry really appreciated it. So thank you so much. Next year, it's going to be bigger and better. Next year, we're going to top 1,000 people in that 5-hour block. So just get ready. It's going to happen. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Anybody online? Oh, wait, another coming up. I'm sorry.
Good evening. My name is Takako Wright, P.O. Box 2122, North Bend, Washington. And I wanted to share that the Snoqualmie Indian Tribe is celebrating their National Day of Prayer to protect native sacred spaces this coming Friday, the 21st at 5:30 in the morning at the lower park level, and all are invited. The one respectful request are no cell phones while in the celebration circle until ceremonies end. Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation. That's nice. Anybody else? Looks like we've got the chief wants to come up and talk. Come on.
I do not normally make an appearance during citizen comments, but it's been a while since I've been in front of you, so I had to take what I could get. I wanted to let you guys know that on Monday, June 24th at 1 p.m. Over at the Outlet Mall, one of my top 3 goals for 2024 will be met and come to fruition when we open our doors officially for the Outlet Mall substation for the police department. So I wanted to just come up here and invite each one of you, invite all the citizens that have time off during a Monday at 1 o'clock to come out and be able to meet the officers, ask questions, come look at the facility. They can walk through. We will have refreshments, and I may even wear something really nice. So I'm just that excited. So yeah, so that's it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I know you guys worked very hard on that, and I've heard a lot of positive from citizens who are seeing more police presence at the mall, so that's probably good. Anybody online?
No one at this time.
All righty. Well, now we're going to move on to announcements, presentation, and appointments. Item 5 in the presentation is 2024 year-to-date financial report. This time, our finance director, Michael Shaw, will provide a presentation on the 2024 year-to-date financial report. Martin, will you please come to the podium at this time? And we're all looking forward to this.
Great.
So excited.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. For the record, Martin Shaw, Finance. Okay. So tonight I'm going to provide a update for you for the 2024 finances through the first 5 months of this year. Next slide. So in terms of a high-level update for you, council, I'm happy to report that all funds ended the first 5 months of this year in a positive financial condition. I'll go over the details here in a second. In terms of the city's largest fund, the general fund, we ended that fund with a $6.1 million fund balance. Revenues to date totaled $4.7 million, and that exceeded expenses for the same period of $4.2 million. So in other words, our fund balance at the beginning of the year was about $5.8 million, and we added to that to the tune of about $500,000. Our revenues compared to last year is about $5.2 million. Our revenues were slightly lower than the same time last year, and that's because of a couple reasons. One is in building permits and retail sales, and I'll go over that in a second as well. In terms of the broader local economy and economic conditions, from my review of the broad economic indicators in the area, is that it's pointing to a cooling of the general economy, and this reflects the Federal Reserve's efforts to control inflation and try to strike a balance in terms of a soft landing by the end of 2024. Next slide. You've seen this chart before when I presented the year-end 2023 report. The blue bars represent the beginning fund balance at the beginning of 2024. And then the orange bar represents the current fund balance at the end of May. So as you can see, every fund is in positive condition. The general fund to the far left is slightly higher than where we were at January. In the utility funds towards the far right there, they're in approximately the same position as we started the year in. If you do have any questions, you'll feel free to stop me and ask questions. Next slide. In terms of the general fund, again, as I mentioned, revenues exceeded expenses to the tune of about $500,000. On the table here, you see our revenues in the detail there totals about 4.7 million, majority of which is represented in tax collections, charges for services, which includes the development fees, and contributions, which would be developer contributions. In terms of expenses, 4.2 million, as I mentioned, 1.1 million spent on personnel, and 2.5 million spent on contracted services. And the majority of that is for our contracted services in the areas of police, fire, jail, and legal services. At the bottom of this table, as you can see, we start the year at about 5.9 million, added to that by about 500,000, and ended 2024 with about 6.3 million. And that compares to budget of 4.7 million. Next slide. This is a new slide that I created for you. And this shows the progression of revenue collections for our major revenue sources within the general fund. So if we, let me show you how to read this. So if we take a look at, for example, the orange line, that represents sales tax collections. The solid line represents sales tax collections for the year 2023. And there's a dotted orange line that sits right behind the solid orange line. And that represents sales tax collections for the first 5 months of this year. The blue line represents property tax collections. The goldenrod line, utility taxes. The olive colored line represents building permit fees. And the goldenrod line, utility taxes. So the point of this graphic here is to show you how tax revenues are coming in over the first 5 months of this year versus 12 months of the previous year. Councilman.
I'm suspecting that the 2024 line, the dotted lines are behind the other right there. And you said that it was lower this quarter compared to last year. I mean, obviously not low enough to show a difference in the graph, but how much lower? And do you have any suspicion as to what caused that, besides possibly economy slowing down? Maybe the fact that limited amount of stores are open in the outlet mall this time as opposed to last year?
Yeah. So for sales taxes, Councilman, we're nearly we're about unchanged over the previous year. So I'll get into that in a second here, but our sales taxes is almost even with the previous year. Now, when we compare that to other surrounding cities near us, we're actually doing better than other cities. What we see is taxable retail sales actually declined in several surrounding cities. Snoqualmie, Sammamish, Issaquah, et cetera. But again, I'll have a graphic for to show you on that in a second. The blue line represents property tax collections, and those revenues comes in two large waves when people send in their sales tax or property tax payments to King County. And as you can see, the first bump comes in about April, and then the second bump will occur in October. And we're, in terms of 2024 performance, we're right in line with expectations. Next slide. So I mentioned taxable retail sales, City of North Bend. 2023 year to date, or at least for the first 3 months. Or excuse me, this would be for the year, about 401 million. And that compares to about 399 million for the year prior. And as you can see, for the city of North Bend, our taxable retail sales is essentially unchanged, but that compares to, as you can see, Sammamish, Maple Valley, Snoqualmie, Issaquah, were all down year over year. City of Duval was up by 1%, and City of Seattle was up by about 3%. Just to give you a sense as to what's happening on the east side, the city of Bellevue, their sales taxes is down by about just under 1%. I think that's a good sign. It shows that our economy locally is resilient, and it's holding its own despite declines that we're seeing in neighboring communities. Next slide. You've seen this chart before as well. This is a pro forma of the city's special revenue funds, the largest fund of which is the city's impact fee fund, or the 106 fund. And here, collections to date is about 149,000 compared to expenses, including transfers out, of about $1 million. And this reflects the timing of revenue collections. But when we take a look at the bottom line, on the table here, that second to last line, we see that the majority of these funds are in positive financial condition, and they're operating in the operating as expected through the first 5 months of this year. Next slide. This slide summarizes the performance of our capital funds. Our largest fund is the 310 fund, or the Municipal Projects Fund. This fund, as you can see, ended with a fund balance of about 206,000, and our real estate excise tax fund that ended with a fund balance of about 5.7 million. In terms of comparing where we were at the beginning of the year, again, the performance of the Municipal Projects Fund reflects the timing of expenses. The significant projects that we have going on at this time include the recent opening of Tenant Trailhead Park, the sidewalk gap project, as well as the Bendigo and Mount Side Boulevard roundabout design. Any questions so far, Council? Next slide. This table here summarizes for you the city's enterprise funds, or i.e. the city's utilities. All funds here ended the first 5 months in positive financial condition. The revenues reflect timing of sales, and it mirrors trends from the previous year. Our water sales are expected to increase over the summer as residents begin to use more outdoor watering. On the next slide, similar graphic as I presented on the general fund. Oh, next slide, Bree. So again, what we see here is a graphic that shows the cumulative utility revenues over the 12 months of 2023 versus the first 5 months of 2024. And as you can see, for the sewer utility, we totaled about 4.1 million by December of 2023. In 2024 year to date, we're at about 1.9 million to date, and that's slightly higher than where we were last year. Water sales, we ended last year at about 2.6 million, and for this year through May, 840,000, as compared to year to date last year of about 900,000. And for the stormwater utility, we're right in line with expectations, 770,000 in total. And through the month of May this year, about 320,000, which is comparable to collections for last year. Next slide. This is the last slide of the update for the first 5 months. This is for our internal service funds. And again, these funds, as a reminder, are funds that provide services to other city departments. This includes equipment operations as well as equipment reserves. And as you can see in terms of the table, our these two funds ended in positive financial condition as well. The equipment operations fund, its fund balance decreased over the first 5 months, but that reflects the timing of expenses. And I'm expecting this fund would that the revenues will catch up with expenses as the year progresses.
Council, any questions for Martin? Christine?
Thank you for sharing the update. This is very good. Just as you look at this and look at anticipated expenditures, is there any risk that you see to a positive financial position by year end?
No, I don't see any risks at this time.
Thank you.
Anybody else? You don't have to, I mean,
Not a question, but thank you, Martin. This is a great report. We had it in finance this last go around. So if you're sensing any quiet lips right now, it's because we reviewed this already and appreciate it a second time around. So thank you very much, Martin. This is a great report.
Great, thank you.
yeah, I want to echo that. Great job on this. I saw the slides before, really appreciate it. And it's good information for the council to have.
Thank you. I do have one more presentation for you. This isn't in your formal packets. We do have handouts for you at your desks. And Bree, if you want page forward about 2 slides. One more. So what I'd like to do here is to just give you an update on our financial statement audit, as well as our meeting that we had with Standard & Poor's regarding our credit evaluation. So in terms of our financial audit, the State Auditor's Office recently completed their audit for 21 and 2022. There were several deficiencies they found, but these were mainly a technical nature. The first one is that we did not properly report our pension liabilities. That reflects a change in the format that the State Auditor's Office was using in terms of reporting pension, and we didn't catch that. We also didn't report revenues as they had, or on our revenue bonds and ULID revenues, using the categories that the State Auditor's Office wanted us to use, as well as a summary for our fund balances for various funds. During the course of the audit, city staff did address all of these deficiencies that were identified. We did ask the State Auditor's Office that, given that we did address their deficiencies, if these would be recognized and removed from the audit, and they said no. So anyway, it's included there for the record, but just to let you know, we did correct all these deficiencies in our work. For the 2023 audit, we have submitted that to the State Auditor's Office about 2 weeks ago on time. And we expect that the State Auditor's Office will begin the review sometime this fall. Next slide. So I did provide a briefing to the Finance and Administration Committee last week that the city was meeting with Standard & Poor's regarding our credit evaluation. So just for context, a credit evaluation is for a city is very similar to a credit score for us as individuals. And in terms of credit rating for the city, as you can see on this table, it can go from a D, which is a default, to as high as a AAA. We're currently rated fairly high at AA. And when we met with S&P, this was yesterday, the purpose of that meeting was to review with them our city's current financial condition, And as part of that discussion, we reviewed with them the status of the general fund, status of the utility revenues, our outstanding debt, and the economic growth as well as opportunities within the city. And again, the whole purpose of this presentation to S&P is to have them review and renew our credit rating for the city. Overall, the impressions that we came away with from staff and attending from the city included myself, David Miller, Mayor Miller, Mark Regos, our Public Works Director, as well as James Henderson, our Economic Development Manager. Yeah, but anyway, our impressions from that meeting is that Standard & Poor's was favorably impressed with where the city is at. That they saw several positive signs. One is the general direction and the growth of the city, as well as the economic opportunities in the city. We informed them of the projects in place, including, for example, the new hotel, several of the subdivisions, residential subdivisions that's occurring in the city, as well as several of the large commercial development projects. They were also impressed with the city's financial leadership. This goes back to the council's decision about 6 months ago to increase our general fund reserves to 2 months or 16.7%. They saw that as a very positive sign. And they also viewed that the city's efforts in terms of actively managing our finances and reserves as also another strong indicator of our financial wherewithal. We're expecting the S&P will return to the city sometime either late next week or the week after with a decision on their rating or on the city's rating. And we're expecting that the city's rating will either stay unchanged at AA or potentially increase to a AA+. Councilman.
What is our surrounding, cities' bond ratings? Are they at the same level? I know at one point AA was a good rating for a city our size specifically. So I'd be impressed if we got to AAA, but I'd be curious what your feelings are.
I can pull for you the ratings for the surrounding cities, but for the city of Bellevue, I know that they're at a AAA rating. But a AA rating for us, even though it's one tier down, I think that's a pretty respectable rating for city our size. All right, great. Well, thank you very much. And you do have a copy of the S&P presentation that we gave. And if you do have any questions after this, feel free to reach out to us.
Thank you very much for the presentation. It's wonderful. Appreciate it. All right. We will now move on to commissions and committee reports. Did Mark join us online? No. So do we have somebody who's going to do the community economic development that was there? Okay. Carol, please go ahead and do that report.
So we met today, June 18th at 4 p.m. Discussed updated language for the franchise utilities element amendment that we remanded from council at the last meeting. We also discussed the energy and sustainability element and the capital facilities element. All three of those likely coming back to council in the coming weeks for review. We also had an exploratory discussion about entertainment districts and what we can potentially do downtown to create some more vibrant opportunities for folks to gather. And it was pretty clean cut after that.
Thank you, Errol. The next item on the agenda will be Finance Administration. Brendan.
Thank you, Your Honor. Finance Administration Committee met June 11th at 4 p.m. in the adjournment room. And we had a few items, two of which you heard tonight through the excellent reporting and presentation of Mr. Shaw. One was the financial status report, January, May, first 5 months of the year. The other was the state auditor update, which Mr. Shaw just went through, and then a city 2025-26 budget development status. Our next meeting is July 9th at 4 PM in the adjournment room to my left. Thank you.
Chris, can you give us the public and health safety?
Looked like my microphone was on. We had an update from the fire update, and the summer kickoff at Station 87 was held last Thursday, I believe. And I know that was published in communication from the city, so some excellent information there. And then we had an update from the police chief and talked about the LEMAP accreditation, and that the final results were expected sometime here in the near future by early July. And we also talked about the North Bend Satellite Station, which, as the chief mentioned, is going to be ribbon cutting on next Monday at 1 o'clock. And finally, we talked about the August 6th night out at Sideview Park.
Chris, why don't you go ahead and roll into the Transportation Public Works?
Sure. All right, the Transportation and Public Work Committee met on May 28th, 4 to 5 in the adjournment room. Discussed the motion authorizing additional service addendum with GNO for phase 1 construction management. Also talked about the motion approving future payment of Sideview Parks, which was on tonight's agenda. Talked about the ordinance adopting the King County Surface Water Design Manual, which is on tonight's agenda. Talked about resolution approving construction contract with Rainier Asphalt and Concrete for the 2024 sidewalk capital project. Resolution authorizing local agency agreement and project prospectus for the McClellan Street Improvement Capital Project. All these are on tonight's agenda, or would be on the soon agenda. And finally, a resolution setting a public hearing date to potentially vacate Highway 2 between Orchard Drive and Cedar Falls Way.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is discussion of our work study. The city council met May 28th in our adjournment room. We discussed land use and housing elements. We had a nice discussion on police service contracts, and we adjourned. Rebecca, could you go ahead and give us the Planning, Parks, Economic and Development Commission's report?
The Planning Commission met on June 5th. At that meeting, the commission held public hearings on the draft updates to the energy and sustainability element and the capital facilities element as part of the 2024 comprehensive plan updates. The Planning Commission made recommendations of approval on both elements. The Planning Commission is next expected to meet on August 7th. The Parks Commission met June 12th for a tour of bicycle and pedestrian facilities and parks, focusing on potential projects that can address gaps in the bicycle and trail network and directional signage between parks. At the meeting, the Parks Commission also requested expenditures of the small park improvement funds for additional bike racks downtown, park directional signage, and pet waste bag stations at Dahlgren Family Park and Tenant Trailhead Park. The Parks Commission will next meet July 24th and will discuss public outreach that they will do at the North Bend Farmers Market. The Economic Development Commission continues to work on projects and ideas to generate more visitors to local businesses. The commission met May 23rd to receive an update about the cycling story map to promote North Bend as a destination for mountain, gravel, and road cycling, and to bring more visitors to downtown businesses. The commission also reviewed and discussed economic and demographic data to understand how data can be used to attract businesses and help local businesses grow and expand. The commission will next meet June 27th. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Eastside Fire and Rescue met at June 13th at our headquarters. We had, we were able to do a couple of promotional pinnings of our new engineers, which was always kind of fun. On the consent agenda or on the regular business, we had a techno resco deployment overview presentation. And then we referred the 2025 to 2026 budget to the fact, so that'll be moving forward to the fact over the next couple of weeks to be completed sometime in October. In the chief's briefing, he discussed Duval, that the King County Commissioners were presented with the draft contract for services and voted to hold a special meeting July 8th to vote on a contract with the anticipation will be presented to the East Side Fire and Rescue Board on July 11th for final approval. There's been a lot of work and relationship building that has gone into this potential partnership. And so we're excited for it. There was also a shared staffing agreement discussed on June 11th. Chiefs union reps met to discuss shared staffing between Duval, East Side Fire and Rescue, Fall City, and Snoqualmie. The agreement has been in place between the Valley departments for years and will be expanded to include East Side Fire and Rescue as staffing resources during times of shortage, with each one of the respective departments. Redmond Department presented a proposal to form an RFA on July 16th. They will be having a meeting, open house to discuss, and they invite all potential stakeholders and interested parties are strongly encouraged to attend personally or virtually at Redmond City Council Hall on July 16th at 4:30. The training consortium board unanimously approved Kirkland Fire joining the consortium. So starting January 1st, Kirkland will become part of the training consortium. They will bring additional training officers, administrative staff to the North Office. This is an exciting development for that training consortium. Ecology's public comment on our PFAS. On June 6th, public comment was closed. There were 7 comments submitted to Ecology, and Ecology is working to be responsive to each one of the submissions. As everybody's know, it's time to discuss Medic 1 and that levy coming up. At the latest BLS subcommittee planning meeting, there was extensive discussion on updating the formula to incorporate increase towards calls for surface calculation and reducing the assessed valuation. As it stands, now there's a straw poll to support 60-40, so it'd be 60% for calls for service and 40% calculated off of assessed valuation. Additionally, there was support to increase the overall levy funding for both BLS and MIH. There was a documentary that our program manager participated on the Seattle channel. The core team participated in the fight against fentanyl, and it won a Northwest Regional Emmy Award a few weeks ago, which is exciting. Program manager Rebecca was featured in speaking on the Naloxone Leave Behind program and East Side Fire and Rescue mobile integrated health efforts to reduce harm. EFR participated in a joint training sponsored by Labor Industry in collaboration with the fire chiefs. WSCFF, a rigorous 3-year, 6,000-hour program includes college level courses, professional certificates, on-the-job training, resulting in a certification for first-class firefighters. Participants are evaluated and tested to meet the Washington State Firefighters Joint Apprenticeship and Training Committee standards. In the past 6 months, 11 employees have successfully completed this program for us. East Side Fire and Rescue Emergency Management applied for a FEMA Emergency in the Box grant in the total of $64,012. The request for ES is designed to support East Side Fire and Rescue's strategic initiative to enhance emergency management capabilities during the disaster. The EOC in a Box offers flexible, portable emergency centers that can be deployed at multiple locations during a large incidents, adverse weather, and disasters. The grant is offered through Representative Shire's office. The EFR is supporting currently the Salal Golf Club for the KPMG PGA event that is going through today through the 23rd. Operations BC Greg Garrett has been instrumental in working with them and the Sammamish PD to provide resources for an event that's going to have about 5,000 spectators expected each day. And the only other thing on here, you can't see this, is they're moving along with the Station 82 remodel. That should be done pretty soon. And that's all I have for you on that. Next, I'm gonna ask regional committees. Are there anybody that has any regional committee reports they wish to provide, whether it's SEA, PIC? All right. Go ahead.
So SCA met virtually June 12th. And we spoke on three major topics. First was the Crisis Care Center, King County. That regional review has happened and a few edits have been made for how to direct those funds and the site selections. The main change I would note is the change from excluding one operator to control multiple sites. Part of that change the council discussed, or I should say the advisory committee discussed, was the lack of mental health care workers in King County and the idea of having one operator control one or multiple sites. They can move headcount across the region if needed based on demand. So that's likely the biggest change that we saw coming out of that. So that goes to King County Council for approval in the coming weeks, and still site selection has not commenced. Item 2 was a reminder for all of us to remind our community that September 22, King County passed a levy for free youth transit passes. Demand is not as high as they thought, so reminder that if you are under 18, you can ride nearly every King County public transit and ferry for free. So get those passes online. And then we discussed our regional alignment on the asylee refugee crisis kind of throughout South King County. There's a position paper letter, I should say, being drafted for SCA to submit to Olympia and Governor Inslee. A lively discussion, as you can imagine, but no final document yet, probably by next committee meeting in July. That's it.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Page 23 in your packet. This is our 6-year transportation improvement plan. We adopt this every year. It is a bit of a living and breathing document. It is a planning document. This list does not lock us into any particular project, but the projects that have a higher rating are more likely being worked on either an analysis design or getting close to construction, whereas the projects lower on the list are further out, kind of at that 2030 or 2031 period. In your packet, you have a TIP table. There's a TIP narrative for all the transportation projects. There's a TIP map, and the transportation projects in here include sidewalks and roads, and we've got 4 or 5 roundabouts, potential parking garage. There are lots of great projects in this list. And so the project narrative describes those for you. We have met with the Transportation and Public Works Committee a couple times on this list during the last few months, and we did meet on this a month ago at a council meeting. There hasn't been too much public input at this time. But I'm happy to take any questions from council.
Council, do you have any clarifying questions? Errol?
Is this list that we have in this packet readily accessible on the website anywhere for the public to see, or is it just going to be in this packet?
It's in the city council packet.
It's actually under public notice as well.
Okay.
Any other clarifying questions? Go ahead. Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Rigos, for the summary and thanks for the time that you spent getting me up to speed on some of these projects as well. Definitely taking a look at those that are at the top priority in the list. They do fit into categories of either they're in design or there's potential grant funding, but most importantly, they all check the box for improving residents' public safety. So that's a positive. I know we received some public comments with regard to the sewer in some of the areas of the city. And can you kind of give an update of where that's at?
Yeah, and I responded to each of those two comments. I don't know if I CC'd my response to council, but regarding the funding for Silver Creek, and so there's approximately 275 homes out there, about 350 parcels. And that's at 6th Street, 8th Street, 10th and 12th Street in the east-west direction, and then north-south direction. We have Pickett Avenue on the east and Ballarat on the west. We have submitted a letter of intent to the Corps of Engineers for this to sewer that neighborhood. We have estimated the cost a conservative amount of about $20 million to build sewer, conveyance pipe, manholes, and a lift station and a force main to get that sewer back up to our existing gravity system near 6th Street. And from there, gravity flows into our wastewater treatment plant. There is a 25% match requirement for the city, and there is a 75% federal share. So when I know more information, I will certainly let council know, but this would be a great project to provide public sewer to that community. So we'll just see what happens.
Mark, could we not reach out to that community at one point a couple of years ago to try it? This must be grant money that we've been looking for, but we did reach out to that community and didn't get a good enough response to form a ULID at that time. Now you're basically talking about grants that we're trying to find to help move that forward. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a great question. We had a town hall meeting in about 2015 or 2016. There was a great attendance of probably 100 people or so. And the survey that we put out, it was approximately 35% of the people that completed the survey wanted to pay for sewer to bring it there as part of a utility local improvement district, and about 65% saying, no, not interested at this time. That situation is they're paying 100% of the sewer costs, so the conveyance pipe, the manholes. This is different. This is what the feds would be paying 75%, and the city has to come up with 25%. So there are several ways that the city could come up with that 25% share. But nobody is, with this project, nobody is forced to connect into the sewer system. It simply builds all the sewer lines and the roads and the manholes. And there's no ULID, there's no 20-year payback in this grant program as well. So it's a better deal for the city.
Thank you for that update. Seeing those? Go ahead.
So what will the public process, notification process be on that? And I appreciate that you say that nobody will be forced to join the sewer. I mean, that's a big win. So what's the public notification process and how's that unfold?
I would say not exactly sure yet. We would probably have some type of open house or town hall meeting potentially on where the pipes could be, where the lift station could be. We need to figure out how we're going to fund that 25%, because we have to pay a contractor early on that $20 million. So either that's a special, that might be a GFC to Silver Creek addition. So everybody that connects to sewer has to pay $15,000. That's your GFC. Maybe for Silver Creek, they have to pay $2,000 extra. We have to figure that out, or where does that 25% come from? So I'd want to be want to have clear messaging on that, make sure it's consistent with what city council wants. So there may be a discussion at F&A committee or potentially a TPW committee on how we come up with this 25%. But yeah, some type of open house, and we check in with the Corps of Engineers every couple of weeks, say, hey, what's the status? When do we hear back? And so we're just we're not hearing crickets. We get a response back from them. It's just, they haven't decided yet. So, but we will have some type of outreach.
When do you think that'll commence? Just
Well, let's just say we are approved for the grant this summer, this fall. Then there will be an interview process with engineering firms. So we would interview the firms to do the work. And then we would choose the best suited engineering firm to do the work. Then we would negotiate price for that work. Then we would bring that forth to our TPW committee and city council for approval of that contract. That wouldn't happen at the earliest until winter, 6 months from now at the earliest, I would say. And then for a large project like that, it might be $2 or $3 million for all the engineering, surveying, geotechnical, flood, et cetera work. That design will take 18 months or so to do. So then we're in mid 2026, and this is the fastest this could happen. And then we could permit this project late 26, be shovel ready 2027, advertise it, low bids come in, council makes the decision to go, no go. And then it's best case scenario, it's a 1-year build, and it might be a year and a half. There is a lift station out there. There's high groundwater in that area. So, we could have all the sewer pipes in the ground ready to connect 27 or 2028, somewhere in that time frame.
And is all the consulting and analysis fees, that's outside of the 25% of the grant funding matching that we'd have?
That would be part of it. So
It'd
we
be
would,
included in
yeah, it
that
would be included,
25%.
correct, yeah. Mhm.
All right, thank you.
Any other clarifying questions? Seeing none, the public hearing on the 6-year TIP was opened on May 21st, the city council meeting, and continued to tonight's meeting. If any members of the audience would like to comment on the public hearing, we invite you to come forward to the podium. Well, they're running there. If you requested accommodation with the city clerk and wish to speak, raise your hand through the virtual platform. We'll take your comments in person. Please remember to state your name, address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Do we have anybody attending? We don't have anybody in here running the stand. Do we have anybody remotely?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. Once, I will now close the public hearing on the 6-year TIP. Council member Christina, would you like to place a motion? Would you like, I got it right here.
Motion to approve AB 24-060 resolution adopting the 6-year TIP 2025 to 2030.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Would you like to speak to the motion?
Sure. As I mentioned already, I think that the plans we have in place predominantly address the citizens' public safety, and I think that we have a good plan going forward.
Thank you. Errol, would you like to discuss the motion?
I think I mentioned last meeting on a couple of these items on the east side. We're very excited that they're on the plan, they're in the pipeline, and I think furthers the idea that we're going to connect both east side and west side to a true thoroughfare through town and make it pedestrian friendly, bike friendly. So we're all excited about that.
Any other comments from the council? All right. So, we have a motion on the table, no additional comments. The motion before us is to approve AB 24-60, a resolution adopting the 6-year transportation plan 2025 to 2030 as a final reading. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. It is unanimously passed. Thank you. Item number 7, AB 24-61, A ordinance adopting King County Surface Water Design Manual and associated North Bend Municipal Code amendments. Mr. Regos, it's up to you to give the staff report on this one too.
All right, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, page 43 in your packets. And this is the ordinance adopting the Surface Water Design Manual 2021 by King County. So the King County 2021 Surface Water Design Manual is consistent with the Washington State Department of Ecology, Western Washington Stormwater Management Manual. We're just getting up to be consistent with the storm drainage manual. It offers the best available science. There are more water quality treatment options in the surface water design manual. Any project that comes through the city of North Bend that adds more than 2,000 square feet of impervious surface area, that could be roof, road, sidewalk, parking lot, etc., undergoes what's called drainage review. And so any development that comes in, they have to submit civil engineering plans, and that civil engineer has to design storm drainage collection, conveyance, water quality treatment, detention or infiltration, and the safe outfall. So the 2021 King County Surface Water Design Manual is actually not that much different than the 2009. We're just trying to play a little catch up and stay up to be consistent with the state manual. So happy to take any questions.
Council, do you have any clarifying questions at this time? Seeing none, I'm going to go through the same thing before. If any member of the audience would like to comment on this agenda item, we would invite you to come forward to the podium at this time. I see nobody rushing. If you request accommodation with the city clerk and wish to speak, raise your hand through the virtual platform. We'll take your comments after in-person comments. Please remember to state your name, address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Bree, do we have anybody?
No one at this time.
Seeing we do not. Christine, would you like to make the, oh, we already made the motion on that, so. Oh, this is a new one. Would you like to make a motion on this? So you're right. I'm thinking of the last one.
Yes, thank you. Motion to approve AB 24-061, an ordinance adopting the current edition of the King County Surface Water Design Manual and associated updates to the North Bend Municipal Code as a first and final reading.
Got a first? Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Christine, would you like to talk to the motion?
I don't have any additional comments above what's already been shared.
Harold, would you like to speak to the motion? Saying none, okay. For vote, the motion before us is to approve 8024-061, North's adopting King County Surface Water Design Manual and associated updates to the North Bend Municipal Code into the first and final.
Point of order. Were we supposed to have a discussion prior to that?
Council, would
you get through all of it?
Yes, thank you. So I thought I asked if council had discussion. I did. I asked afterwards.
Did you?
Yes, when I asked, after I finished talking to Errol,
I did recall that.
clarifying, thank you. Okay, so can I move on then?
Do you have a comment?
No, I'm just messing with him.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask for the vote since I followed everything that's on this wonderful piece of paper. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. It is unanimously passed. Thank you very much. The next item on our agenda is the part that I think we all look forward to, mayor, council, and administrative concerns and initiatives. I'm gonna go ahead and start with you, Brendan, since you had comments.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, weather's great. Happy to be out there. I wasn't able to make the art and industry personally, but I was able to go by it when it was happening and it looked great. So I'm excited to hear the news on that and the growth there. And speaking of art and industry, Valley Center Stage in partnership with the Grange, Salao Grange over here, the road over here on Stilson, has a final weekend of Man of La Mancha, a musical. It's been very well received in the community. So if you're into musical theater and it's a classic, please show up and support your local performing arts. Thank you.
Susan.
Times are tough right now for people, and
I would just reiterate, if you have the opportunity to donate to the food bank, they would appreciate that. And also the senior center. That's all I got.
Harold, what do you got for us?
We are officially underway with your Little League All-Star teams, softball and baseball. And June 22nd, this Saturday, we will be hosting here in North Bend, the U10 All-Star Tournament for District 9. And our Snoqualmie Valley Little League team will be playing on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. So come check out some baseball. The tournament's going to run from the 22nd all the way through July 2nd. So lots of kiddos out at Torgerson, a lot of visitors in town. It's a great event. We hosted last year, so we're excited to do it again this year.
Thank you. Christine.
And just to comment on that, the local businesses will be very busy, so plan accordingly. And speaking of busy, I was able to attend the North Bend Farmers Market last Thursday and every Thursday at Cy-View Park. And last Thursday in particular, there was a group of young kids that were performing, and it was amazing. And you could hear it from quite far away. So if you get a chance, check it out. Thursdays from 4 to 7, or 4 to 8 at Cy-View Park. That's it.
Mr. Miller, you got anything to add for us tonight?
We're without a microphone, so you're lucky and didn't get to bore you today.
Wait,
But
you got
no.
a microphone after all that.
We did have a ribbon cutting to officially open the wastewater plant phase 2, done. 38 million complete, clean water now. It's really a great project, and we had quite a large group showed up there, so it was really nice to see others who had been involved with it and people who were able to see the largest capital improvement project that we've built in the city so far. So that was a great event. That was Monday.
Thank you. Sorry, I missed that. I actually got a surprise and had my daughter come into town for Father's Day. So we spent Monday doing some fun things together. So with that, seasonal moratorium on outdoor burning is now in effect through September 30th. This measure aims to reduce fire danger in our community. For more information about burn bans, please visit the news section of the city website. City offices will be closed June 19th in observance of Juneteenth holiday. Free family-friendly matinee films are available to the community each week during summer break at the North Bend Theater. The summer matinee films are sponsored by Cy-View Metropolitan Park District. Council, just a reminder that we are going to be canceling the July 2nd City Council meeting for just some minor holiday that happens a couple days later. So please enjoy your 4th of July. And we will not have a meeting on the 22nd. Since we brought up the burning moratorium, I just want to bring it out. There was recently a presentation at Station 87 about wildlife interface. Again, if you are within the wildlife or WUI, you might have heard, please reach out if you want to have somebody come take a look at your property and help you define defenses that will save you in the case of a wildland fire. Being that we are moving into some warm weather again, we're going to see we had a lot of wet weather, so there's a lot of growth, undergrowth, so there's a lot of risk as we move into the summer. So I do recommend anybody that lives within the wildland interface and is concerned about their property to reach out to Eastside Fire and Rescue, and they can set you up for for them to come over and give you some input on what's best to maintain and keep your property safe. Again, we're getting nights going and we're going to start getting people walking out. So please remember, watch your speed limit, watch the crosswalks. The kids are out there playing. Summer is beginning. I think some of the schools are ending in the next couple of weeks. So we'll see more out there. So please be careful and watch for pedestrians walking. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Got a first and a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Have a good evening.